Hi everyone, welcome to Maximum Attack Rallying. Welcome back if you've watched before. Lots to talk about this week, isn't there? Lots to talk about. As you've probably guessed from the title/thumbnail, the topic for this week's video is the Safari Rally and the point system, but we will come to the point system. Let's not go down that angry road just yet. Safari, what a weekend. There was a lot of excitement, I think, going into Safari. Obviously, I think it's a rally that a lot of people are very pleased to see back in the championship. It's one of those iconic events, isn't it? You know, it's like Monte Carlo, like Finland, like GB. It's a rally that should be in the championship. There's been a bit of controversy though. In the run up to the event, there was some news stories about problems with the organisers. There were some position changes and staffing changes. So there is some things brewing in the background. There was a local journalist putting out content saying how things were kind of in disarray. So not all perfect, but the event itself appeared to run very well, at least as an external observer. And from those that I've seen on the ground, they seem to be having a good time. And I think it's just great to see this event on the calendar, isn't it? As I said, it's one of the iconic rallies. So from that perspective, very good. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see how those issues going on in the background play out. Yes, God, I don't even know where to begin with what happened. I was watching most intently on Saturday because I was working on some stuff for the event. Man, it was busy. It was definitely busy. There was a lot happening. Punctures were definitely the order of the day on Saturday. I lost count of how many punctures there were and issues there were. We had who had punctures? Elfyn Evans seemed to have about 400,000 punctures. I think it was at the end of the morning loop, wasn't it? He ran out of fresh tyres and had to drive. Had to drive back to service on a punctured tyre because he had run out of fresh rubber. That is, I suppose, the advantage of being in Kenya, isn't it? You've got some of the road sections are off, on dirt tracks, so it's not as much of a problem as if you were on a tarmac rally, for example. Excuse me, terrible. So he had problems. Katsuta had punctures. It was a day of punctures, and man, it was a difficult rally. I think the only thing you could really say is that Kalle Rovanperä was imperious. It was a fantastic drive. Obviously, road order helped him a little bit at times, but everyone else seemed to have problems apart from Kalle. He just drove through the stages, set some great times, got himself into a lead. Everyone else was falling apart behind him, and he just stayed there. And it was a really, really great performance. And it was another great performance from Toyota, wasn't it? I know Elfyn had some problems, but I think Katsuta did really well. He finished in second place. Really good drive from him. He had at least one puncture, didn't he? But it was a solid drive, though, wasn't it? And they've just shown again, haven't they? Toyota have shown again that it's their event. The car is strong, the car is fast, good drivers. They just go there every single year. It seems that they go to Kenya and just do the business. And they did it again, didn't they? Really, it was a shame that Elfyn couldn't stay on the podium, but just a great result. And I think perhaps more importantly, though, obviously, the Toyota thing was amazing, but I think perhaps more importantly, and perhaps the drive of the rally in many ways, was actually Adrian Formeau with M Sport. So Adrian had a difficult time last time he was in a Rally 1 car, but this year he has been really, really impressive. Obviously, he was on the podium in Sweden, and now third place here as well. He's just doing a great job, isn't he? Doing a really, really solid job. I think you have to say that maybe it is another example of the M Sport machine at work, isn't it? They took him out of the car. They put him into the British Championship in a Rally 2 car. Won that. Solid year last year, and he just seems to have come back. He's more mature, more consistent, and he's just doing a great job. And I think, as an extension to that, you have to say that M Sport did a really good job over the weekend. The car was solid. Formeau didn't really have any problems. I know he had a puncture. Was it Saturday afternoon, which did some bodywork damage, but overall the car seemed pretty good. I know Munster had some issues that put him out on Saturday morning, but he made a mistake. He's not had an easy start to the year. He was a little bit unfortunate in that he did some damage that he couldn't kind of bodge it back together because he'd bent lots of parts, so they couldn't kind of patch the car up to get moving again. But he tried, didn't he? You know, he was there for a long time, desperately trying to fix that car. And I saw an interview with Rich Milner over the weekend. I think it was on Rally TV, and he was praising his effort, wasn't he, and saying that that's something that they've been working on. So I thought that was a really good story, even though the outcome wasn't ideal. Contrast that, contrast M Sport having a good weekend, contrast Toyota having an excellent weekend, and we come to probably the biggest talking point, and will lead us nicely into the points, and that was Hyundai, who had an absolute mare. Their weekend started well, Neuville was quickest on Thursday evening on the Super Special, all looked good, and it just went terribly, terribly wrong. Ott Tanak, I don't want to spend too much time on Ott Tanak. He didn't have a great weekend though, not had a great start to the season. He said he was looking forward to getting the car on gravel and seeing how he got on. That didn't play out, just more issues. I fear for Tanak, to be honest. I fear that he's going to end up in a position when similar to how things were when he was at Hyundai before, where it just didn't quite pan out and we started to see a bit of dejection. I don't want to see that, but I fear it might happen. Then we had Lappi. Poor Lappi. So gearbox failed spectacularly for him on Friday. Casing exploded, game over there. And as it turns out, as has been reported, so that was a problem that they knew existed. Obviously last year they had prop shaft problems. They fixed that and basically they've moved the problem into the gearbox. And they reached a point where Hyundai had to tell their drivers that they probably couldn't push 100% for the rest of the weekend because the gearboxes wouldn't make it. That, for a team putting that investment, is not good. So that was a disaster. And unfortunately for Lappi, the disaster continued because Saturday he had a run-in with a Zebra, I think, in the morning. And then later in the day, I can't remember which stage it was on now, later in the day he hit two birds in one stage. It was just a disaster, wasn't it? Broke the windscreen. First one broke the windscreen, then he hit another one. Weirdly, wasn't captured on camera. And he crawled and lost minutes, absolutely minutes on that stage. So that was a disaster for him. And then to compound it even further, obviously we had the Neuville saga. And that is going to take me into the point. So let's talk Neuville first in terms of his performance, because I think his performance in many ways was good. But then obviously we'll get into the points rubbish. So, Neuville, wow, bad in a mechanical sense. So he also had problems on Saturday afternoon. No wildlife involved, but it did cost him masses and masses of time. So he had a fuel pump issue, they think, or fueling issue, that meant he had to crawl for some distance. He was on EV mode at one point, then the engine got going again, he was talking to the team. It was a disaster. And basically what that resulted in is that he lost about 10 minutes, I think. And that obviously ended his podium hopes, ended any hope he had of challenging for the win. And I mean, in a way it happens, doesn't it? It's a bit weird, and like the gearbox thing, the team seem to have said they didn't really understand the problem, and it's not necessarily specific to Kenya. Things are not well at Hyundai right now, are they? Things are not well. We saw some talk over the weekend that they're pushing for clarification for the rules for next year, because apparently they've been working on a new Rally 1 car ready for next year, but with the rule changes that might get cancelled because there's some fundamental issues with this current car that they believe they just need to start from scratch and to build a new car. But obviously, they don't want to build a new car if it's going to become obsolete, or they're building it to a set of regulations that they don't fully understand. This is all, we're now at a point where they're talking about Hyundai as a corporation possibly reconsidering. That is a messy situation. I think hopefully we're going to get a bit more information about that. Perhaps we'll do another video about that, because that's a big topic in itself. But anyway, so lots of problems for Hyundai, but this is where it goes weird. So Neuville finished in 5th. Let me just double check. It was 5th, wasn't he? He finished behind Evans, who was 4th. And he finished, I'm reading again, 10 minutes, 17.5 seconds behind Kalle Rovanperä. Let me say that again. 10 minutes, 17.5 seconds. 10 minutes behind. Then, I'm going to put the graphic in, then we look at the points awarded for the weekend. So Kalle Rovanperä, who he scored maximum points for Saturday, which was 18, and then he scored 2 points on the power stage. He cruised, obviously took it easy, had a massive lead, so he took it easy on Sunday, as you would. So he scored 20 points. The second highest point scorer is the guy that was 10 minutes off the lead, Thierry Neuville. He scored 1 point less than Rovanperä. He scored 8 for Saturday, 6 for Sunday, and he was 5 for the power stage. Tanak scored the most points for Sunday, by the way. He scored 12 points overall. I know a lot of you, I've seen a lot of comments on social media talking about this and how ridiculous it is. I mean, it's madness. So a guy that finished 10 minutes off the lead in 5th place scored 1 point less than the guy who won the rally. He scored 1 point more than the guy that finished 2nd. He scored 2 points more than the guy that finished 3rd. And perhaps most criminally of all, he scored 3 points more than Elfyn Evans. So Elfyn Evans beat him in the overall classification, but goes away from the rally further behind in the championship. Every single Hyundai finished behind every single Toyota, and I think Toyota only scored 4 more points in the constructor standings. It's just baffling. It blows my mind that anyone is looking at this and thinking it's okay. I get that they were trying to kind of stop the Sunday cruising thing, but I think this weekend shows that they failed in that, because Kalle Rovanperä cruised through Sunday. Katsuta cruised through Sundays. The 2 top cars just cruised to the end. Formo cruised through Sunday. So the podium guys all just cruised to the end. And I mean, yeah, there was a fight between Neuville and Evans. Not that Evans put up that good a fight in the end. And Tanak. But is this really what we want? So for me, it didn't stop cruising. So as I said, the top 3 guys all cruised, and we've just devalued winning the rally, haven't we? So now you can do a really good job, complete all the stages, set the best aggregate time, and then a guy that had a massive disaster, not his fault, this wasn't Neuville's fault, massive disaster of a weekend, scores 1 point less than you, just because he can blast through a few stages on Sunday. Now that the problem's been fixed, it just really doesn't sit well. And then what makes it even worse is this graphic that I'm putting on the screen right now. This is infuriating. So this is the graphic that the WRC posted at the end of the rally. They posted a picture of Kalle and Jonna Halttunen. They posted a picture of Taka Katsuta. Oh my god, my words are failing me. Taka Katsuta and Aaron Johnston. They posted a picture of Adrian Formeau and Alex Correa, saying, their positions. And then they posted this graphic. So they didn't post a list of the top 10 finishing order. They post a list of the top 10 point scorers. And as someone rightly commented, I can't remember who it was, please forgive me. I think it might have been British Rally Media, but I might be wrong. Some people are asking, people are making sarcastic comments saying, oh, well done Thierry Neuville for finishing in 2nd place at Safari Rally. Because that is what this graphic makes it look like. When they're not posting a graphic telling you the finishing order, they're posting this points thing, which makes it look like Neuville finished 2nd instead of 5th. It's baffling. I just don't get it. I do not understand how this is helpful for anyone. Like I said, it hasn't stopped cruising, and it's just devaluing actually winning a rally. Weirdly though, if you look at, so a few people have been tracking the points and what the points would have looked like if we'd stuck to the old system, and if you look at the gaps between the top couple of places, if we were under the old system, it isn't actually that different. But if you go a bit further down the order, so Tanak's higher up than he would have been, it just doesn't work. I'm sorry, it's just not working, and I really think we just need to be honest and throw this thing in the bin as soon as possible. It's really, I don't know, it irritates. You can tell that it irritated me, can't you? So I just don't like it, and I think the only thing we can say at this point is that we've been lucky. So this time, Rovanperä won the rally. and that has been undermined in a way by this silly points thing. But he's not in the championship fight, so it doesn't hurt him that much, does it? If you look at last time out in Sweden, Lappi won the rally. Evans scored the most points, I think. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? He scored, scored a lot of points. But again, in a way, that doesn't matter too much, does it? Because Lappi's not really in the championship fight. What happens as the season goes on? I thought about this the other day. What happens if we get to Japan at the end of the season? Thierry Neuville is winning, is in first place in the championship standings, and then during the rally we end up in a position where Evans finishes behind him in the rally but scores more points and wins the championship. How do you explain that to people? How do you say, oh yeah, well he was worse, but he still wins the championship even though he was behind? It's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous, and we need to throw it in the bin. It's a load of rubbish. It's just a load of rubbish, I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm going to stop. I must stop because I don't want to rant too much. Because Safari Rally itself was brilliant. I just think the sad thing is that instead of talking about how brilliant Kalle Rovanperä was, how brilliant Taka Katsuta was, how brilliant Adrian Formeau was, instead of talking about all the drama with the punctures and the animals and the mechanical problems and all that stuff, we're talking about the points. And if you reach a point where you're talking about the application of the rules instead of the sporting action, you've gone wrong somewhere. And I think right now we're really, really going wrong somewhere. So I'm going to stop there because I want to try and go back to the positives. Safari Rally was really good. There was lots of action, lots of good driving. It was very spectacular. The scenery is amazing. The people of Kenya look like they're amazing, and the point system sucks. So we're going to stop. Thanks for watching. Do tune in next time. I'm going to try and do a couple of bonus videos over the next couple of days, so stay tuned for those because we had some other news that I thought I'd separate out into some other videos. As always, like, comment, subscribe, follow me over on Instagram in particular because that's where I do lots of stuff, and I will see you again in the next video.